Good morning, Zompoc, and welcome to the final episode of Good Morning Zompoc for this season.
Yeah. If this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, well, you're a bit fucking late to the party, you fucking muppet.
All right, Marc, bit much, bit harsh. But yeah, if you don't know, we broadcast from post-zombie apocalypse Britain. Marc's in London, I'm in Manchester, and we use the faintest little bit of Wi-Fi signal to help you survive the zombie apocalypse.
That's fucking right, you dirty load of old bastards. God, if you ain't been listening, tough Tom Tip, me old China.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking proper this week, Bex. Proper.
You've lost me.
Well, this week's Bex, not only is it our last podcast, but we have a great guest. This week is Matthias Hoene. He is the writer and producer of Cockneys versus Zombies.
Wow, that's a good movie, that. How do we manage to get him on?
I ain't got a fucking clue. Mate. It's one of my favourites because like they talk fucking proper all the way through it. They talk proper, and it's going to be a right draft, mate, isn't it? It's going to be full of geezers.
Oh, fuck's sake.
But before, we get on, we're having a bit of a rabbit with this fella, let's have a bit of a lark, mate.
What?
Let's have a bit of a chat, Bex. Let's have a bit of a chat.
Okay, we can do that. Okay,
doke. So, Bex, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I suppose I've got a little story. Do you remember, not so long ago, it was a good few weeks ago now, I went to go back to Aldi's to get some supplies and I ran into a little bit of trouble.
Was it a sausage roll?
But no, the sausage rolls are minging now. Come on, mould on them. It wasn't a sausage roll.
Song about the sausage roll song.
I know, I need to make up some more verses to the sausage roll song.
I tell you, if people haven't been listening to our podcast, they've got no idea what we're talking about, but Bex has a song about a sausage roll and it's really good.
I do, and I've got 2 verses to the sausage roll song, so you need to go back and listen.
That should have been our competition question. It should have been, can you sing the whole song from beginning to end?
Yeah.
Anyway,
next season. Yeah, so I ran into a bit of trouble, ran down an alleyway, I was a bit trapped, zombies were converging on my presence, and I was basically fucked. And then Mabubi and Armin,
Sorry, what happened with your what now?
Mabubi and Armin, didn't they? They dropped a ladder down.
Yeah.
And I managed to climb to safety. Well, a couple of weeks after that, I didn't really say, because I didn't really bear mentioning, to be honest. Mabubi actually came round the house and she handed me a walkie-talkie, a radio. Because we only live about a walkie-talkie, a radio. I know what I mean in my head. Walkie-talkie, like one of those Action Man ones that you used to get when you were 5.
Over. Is that my boobies? Over.
That's where I'm going at now. So she handed me one, and she said, because we only live about half a mile away from each other, so she said, "This we can keep in contact via this. We can share supplies. If you ever need to go out on a supply run, you can keep in contact. We can be kind of each other's safe haven."
She's a bright one.
She's a bright one. So I was like, yeah, fine. So I've kind of had this walkie-talkie, this radio for a while, and I've not really had to use it. But a couple of weeks ago, when I had the story about the big box of dildos.
Oh, did you have a story about dildos? I don't remember that at all.
You do. You remember my story about the big box of dildos?
Really? No, I don't recall it. Would you like to elaborate on the big box of dildos story?
I went into my neighbour's house and I found a chest and I had to break it open. In the chest there was a massive box of dildos. There was lots of dildos. There was big ones, small ones, fat ones, thin ones. Some ones big as your head.
Have you still got them? Have you kept them? Or?
Well, you're interrupting my story. I will tell you the story of the dildos.
It's the last episode. I don't care anymore.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry then. Interrupts away. But yeah, you remember I twatted one round the head with a big spiky red dildo, didn't I?
I do indeed. Yes, great story.
I still had these dildos, and I brought them into the house. I don't know why I brought them into the house, because the 2-year-old's now running around thinking it's some kind of toy. So I knew I needed to to get rid of these dildos, but I thought to myself, I'm going to tell my booby about these dildos, because it's just too funny to keep to myself.
Yeah, you've got to spread the love.
I've got to spread the dildo love, really, haven't I? And she said to me that she's been wanting to set up a business, like a little post-apocalyptic business, to just, get a little... It's not really money she wants. She wants to trade for like supplies, food, clothing, batteries, things like that.
Yeah, the barter system. Yeah, that's how it works, yeah.
But she's been wondering what she can get into. So I said, well, I've got this massive chest of dildos. and she said, right, I'll give you. So she's given me some tins of food. She's given me some batteries. She's given me some gas for my for the barbecue outside.
Oh, nice. Good
exchange,
stash, yeah.
Well, that's it. In exchange, I've given her this big box of dildos, this big chest of dildos. So she's actually opening up her own sex shop. But
Dildo
do you want to guess? Do you want to guess what it's called?
Her name is Mabooby. That she's selling dildos. I can only imagine. You're gonna have to enlighten me.
She's calling it Mabooby's Boobies.
Mabooby's what?
Mabooby's Boobies.
Mabooby's Boobies.
I think she's also kind of maybe running a small brothel on the side. I didn't really go into it. I know she's got the dildos. She's taken the dildos away from me. That's all I care about.
Dildos. She's selling the use of the dildos. So
I'm not sure. I didn't ask questions.
Mabooby's Boobies. That's good.
Mabooby's
I like
Boobies.
it. It's a nice name for a knocking shop. I mean, if I was going to a knocking shop, that would be one of my top picks. Top 5.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got to keep an eye on Simon now because
he might be.
He knows about it.
Just nipping out to Mabooby's Boobies.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's good. I mean,
that's been my week.
I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense in the post-zombie apocalyptic world to be selling services of that nature. It's the oldest profession in the world. Only ask Scarlett; she knows all about it.
She does, but she doesn't know about crack.
No, apparently, no.
Not that kind of crack. She knows
not that kind of crack. She knows all about one kind, but not about the other.
Crack.
Okay.
So what have you been up to? Have you got any interesting tidbits?
I have not.
Tidbits, like Mabooby's Boobies.
No, nothing as interesting as Mabooby's Boobies. Unfortunately, since last week, I don't know if you recall last week, it was we had Rob turn up on the doorstep.
Did we? Did we have Rob turn up on the doorstep?
And that was fun. So we had Rob turn up on the doorstep, and he brought with him, inside of him, a demon called Alan.
I like your Alan voice.
Oh, my Alan voice sounds like this. I think Alan sounds a bit like that.
That's a very good impression of Alan.
I know, it's good. So Alan and I have been having many chats late into the night. He's an interesting guy. He knows a lot of stuff, for a demon. He's a lot brighter than Rob. So Rob.
Well, anyone's brighter than Rob.
Pardon?
Anyone's brighter than Rob.
That's very true. So Rob and I have been sort of taking care of stuff during the day. I've been helping him move in, and generally he's very good at measuring things and hanging stuff up neatly and that sort of thing. Because that's Rob.
Tacking wires to the wall.
Yeah, he's a very practical person. Likes things in a certain way. He likes things to hang just so. But he's boring as fucking grey paint. He's not the most exciting human. Whereas Alan, what a fascinating guy. I mean, he consumes the souls of dead people and alive people, and he consumes them, and then he takes over their attributes and then communicates with you in their voice. He's a fascinating man. So, me and Alan have been getting on well. There is a bromance. It's a burgeoning bromance. He admires me, I admire him. As human beings, we're making a connection on a spiritual level as well.
So really, I needed to send a dildo your way.
No, I'm good. I don't need one, do I? I'm surrounded by all of the love. The demon love and the lady love, and
there was some butt plugs in that chest.
Ah, okay.
I could have sent you one of those.
You just pop one of those over a bit later. That would be nice.
I've already given them to my boobie.
Oh, I don't want to use one. I'd like a clean, disinfected one that I can wrap in a small, neat parcel and maybe hand it over to Alan.
You've been spending way too much time with Alan. You've adopted his voice.
Yeah, maybe he's been sucking my soul.
I don't know what's worse, the East End voice, the Alan voice. It's just. I'm like
a man of mystery today.
You are
taking on all these different personas.
I'm not sure I like it.
No. You know what's been happening? I think Rob has been secretly sucking at my soul when I've been sleeping in bed. He's been sucking in, something. Crawling under my covers and sucking on my soul.
He's been sucking something.
Yes, that's pretty much it for the stories this week. So, this week we are lucky enough to have Matthias Hoene on as a guest. Matthias is the writer, producer and director of Cockneys vs. Zombies. Welcome, Matthias.
Hey, how are you doing? Nice to have you on the podcast. Nice to be on it. I mean, even though England is overrun by zombies, we're having a nice little cozy time in East London at the moment.
Oh, cool. Well, awesome. Welcome to Good Morning Zompoc. And thanks so much for coming. We really appreciate when we have guests, especially such a high caliber guest. And Yeah, so thanks very much. I mean, we like to ask a few questions to all of our guests, otherwise it would just be with sitting here in silence. So the first thing we normally like to ask is how are you actually surviving in a zombie apocalypse? What weapons, supplies, people have you got with you? Just so we kind of get a gist as to how you're surviving.
Well, first of all, I tried to get everyone who worked on Cockneys versus Zombies to come and join me in my pad in East London. I live in just on top of London Fields, and I'm lucky enough to have James Moran, who is the writer of Cockneys versus Zombies, here with me, and Alan Ford managed to come over, and we actually are in our basement, which luckily is right next to podcast, who have their big warehouse in the basement right next to us. So we managed to, we just tore a hole into our wall, and we pillaged their pork scratchings and their cans of super tea.
Yeah.
And we're surviving on that, and it's okay, it's possible. And then in the meantime, I've been making some homemade gunpowder out of the leftover chemicals I got for New Year's Eve from hobbychemicals.co.uk, where you can buy all the ingredients you need to make gunpowder. Should you wish to.
That's good to know. Good to know. Yeah.
Yes. And my alligator lopper, my air rifle, and some Japanese whiskey, as long as my cat cheese and Chino and my wife Hannah are so far enough to hold off the worst of the undead.
Oh, well that's fantastic. We're glad you're surviving. Obviously, you've had plenty of experience making your movies.
Yeah, because your film, Cockneys versus Zombies, it was an absolute massive hit. I mean, but why Cockneys? Why not Brummies? Why not Scousers?
Well, I mean, I think maybe we can leave that to a further edition of the series. But really, the idea came to me when I was working on a small little web series that I was doing called Beyond the Rave, and we had a couple of Cockney characters. Bless, and one of them was Tama Hassan, and he had about 4 or 5 lines in the script of that series. But he ended up improvising so many funny lines and so many funny moments where everyone else, all the other protagonists of this horror series, were scared, running away, not doing much. The Cockney who, and in general, have faced many centuries of invaders, be that the Zulus, the Nazi, the old Bill, and they've defended the turf against anyone who tried to do them wrong over so many years that when it came to vampires or zombies or aliens, they're just well equipped and they don't take any shit.
They really
and that's
don't.
what I thought was such a funny attitude and a funny sort of tonal thing that I felt had to be explored in a movie. And so that's why I felt like it came to me on the set of that series, and I mentioned it to my production manager. I said, we got to do something with those guys. We got to do something with the Cockneys. Give them a movie.
Yeah.
And and I said, I'd love to do aliens, but aliens are too expensive, and werewolves never work on a low budget. So what are we gonna do? We can only do zombies, right? And he goes, yeah, let's do zombies. I mean, and this was, to be honest, before Walking Dead and most of the many zombie films came out, and I continued shooting and forgot about it. And a week later, my production manager James Harris came back to me and said, Matthias, I've set up our movie. We have a sales agent. All we need to do is do a script. And I'm like, what do you mean? What movie? He goes, Cockneys versus Zombies. They love it. We've got to do it. So he went out and pitched it to lots of people, and he managed to raise a little bit of finance to develop a script. And then when we had the script, then we got Studio Canal got excited about it, and lots more people came on board. And it took a little while, but I felt anyway, I wanted to make sure that it's a fun film, and I didn't want to rush the development. And then we ended up making it, which was great.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Cockneys versus Zombies, mainly because I'm a Cockney, and I was born in East London, and I grew up with those characters. I mean, people, the character that Alan Ford played, and people like Alan Ford. I grew up with those guys. Those big East End stereotypes. I grew up with a Big Ray. Actually, I know a Big Ray still now. I mean, I am assuming that you researched these characters. So you knew. I mean, you lived in East London for many years. So I'm assuming that you actually knew some of these types of people in the same way I did.
Yes, totally. And I mean, I want to say, I am not Cockney by birth, as you might or might not be able to
guessed
tell
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt having lived there for a long time, and sometimes bringing an outsider perspective to an insider game, being helpful in a sort of artistic way. I thought it, maybe I could do it, and I didn't want to go. We didn't want to make a cliched film.
Yeah.
About Cockneys and zombies, but really find sort of a humanity and heart in it. So that's what was really important for me, to have those huge, larger than life characters, but give them all a good reason to be in the film, make it feel very emotional. And to me, it really was about what I noticed happening in East London around the time of the Olympics, which was and before, which was that really all the real Cockneys were moving out and being sort of gentrified by people like me who moved in.
Yeah,
and sort of,
they live with me now in Essex.
Unfortunately, exactly. Yeah, and sort of all these beautiful East End and East London haunts and cafes and pubs were sort of just shutting down and disappearing. And I kind of really wanted to make that the theme and the heart of the movie, that the zombies really are a metaphor for the developers and the people moving into East London, pushing out the Cockneys. And if you look at the film, I try to make as many shots as possible where we have a small East London neighbourhood dwarfed by a massive Canary Wharf skyline behind it, as a sort of expression of that metaphor. So that kind of was the deeper underlying thread of the story. And then, of course, it was fun to kind of go, it's just the idea of creating a zombie film where the zombies are slow, but our protagonists are even slower because they're pensioners. And they can't get away, and they need the help from their kids, who happen to have, all the weapons they need to fight off zombies, because they were robbing a band to save their grandparents. And I thought that's sort of both the heart and the comedy of it, and sort of the comedy of how do you pit lots of pensioners against zombies, and what jokes can you make with that, and what kind of funny set pieces can you create with that sort of setup, which is of course the slow motion Zimmer frame chase, and all those other little funny things we try to put in there.
Yeah, and I think from some of the reasons you've said is why the film's got such a cult following and it's actually really popular. But I think also part of the appeal is you've got such huge stars in it. I mean, Anna Blackman, Richard Bryars, Alan Ford, Dexter Fletcher, etc., etc. I mean, what was it like to work with all that, experience all those big stars? Was it a bit daunting?
Well, it was very humbling. I mean, first of all, when Alan Ford came on board, who really we wrote the part for, it was great, and I had seen many of his roles, and I kind of expected a real tough guy, of course, and I wanted to cast the most Cockney we could possibly get.
And he really is the most Cockney.
I wanted him to take the rest of the cast under his wings, and just kind of put them in their place and make sure that they act appropriate to East London culture, and then make them, because Anna Blackman, she was born in East London, but let's face it, she's sort of spent a lot of time in West London since. Of course, yeah. But I thought teaming her up with Alan Ford would sort of even that out. And but he turned out to be the most, the nicest, most easygoing guy to work with. He was just so fun on set, and so up for doing anything. And also with the group of pensioners, he sort of everyone was so excited because unfortunately nowadays, when you're a 75-year-old actor, you tend to get the one role of the sick person in the hospital bed or something like that.
Yeah.
And for them to have to have Alan Ford, Richard Bryce, and Honor Blackman, they were all like, wow, we're in an action movie and we're 75 and it's great. And also they were, they came up to me and said, look, I haven't worked with Honor since 1967. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near born at that point, but they were really excited to work together because they hadn't worked together for 20, 30, 40 years at some point. And of course, everyone was different. You had like Richard Bryars, who really was an inspiration to work with, because when you have someone like that who has 40 years of comedy experience, he knew exactly how he needed to wear the hat and how he needed to be in his in his pajama and in his funny shoes, and who took a line like oh, it's a zombie, which it's a good line, but it's not Shakespeare. It turned it into oh, it's a zombie. And, and it is sort of and suddenly you laugh and you go, wow, okay. That was amazing, a great moment. He totally created that.
Richard Bryars to me is like a massive institution. I mean, I've loved Richard Bryars since I was a young kid, and to see him in the movie at that age was outstanding for me.
Absolutely. And for him, it was a small, fun role, and a great time on set, which was great. So, and the same with Honor Blackman, and she was she was like 76 at the time. She was the oldest, but at the same time, when I lined up all the weapons for our pensioners to choose from to break out of their pension home, I had the spoons and the egg whisk and the food carton, and she goes to me, no, Matthias, I don't want any of that. I want the sledgehammer.
Oh, amazing.
So I was like, okay, okay, fair enough. So I gave her the sledgehammer, and bless her, we did a scene with her where she started taking out all our valiant zombie extras, hitting them over the head and punching them in the stomach, and it was mayhem. She did 12 to 15 of them, and I said, okay, Honor, cut, this is great, we've got it. They're all piling up in front of her. She doesn't hear what I'm saying and keeps knocking them out, and more being sort of punched and falling down, and it was a complete slaughterhouse.
Amazing.
And finally she goes, oh, okay, she got 30 zombies down. She goes, okay, done. And
done.
Brilliant.
Lovely. And she goes up to me, okay, Matthias, I'm so sorry. On zombie number 17, I hit him on the wrong side of his head. So the cheek won't work to camera, and I'm really apologizing. No, don't worry, Honor. We can cut around that. It's no problem.
I'm sure. We had enough zombies to work with.
Exactly.
You did enough.
She was so focused.
Amazing. What a professional, though, to actually know that zombie number 17. Incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
You're counting them. So, I mean, the movie actually won 2 awards, and which I just think is amazing. But how did it feel when you won the awards? Are awards actually important to you, or are you just like are you just happy making the films?
It was really great to win some awards for the film. I remember one of them was at the Sitges Fantastic Festival, and they actually put out the scores of the audience scores on a chalkboard outside the cinema for everyone to see. So like every movie gets scored, and the scores put outside publicly. And I was really nervous. I was asking the organizer, look, isn't that a little bit cruel to put the score out like and he goes, yeah, sometimes there's tears. And I'm okay.
Like a Roman amphitheater.
Yeah, exactly. And I was nervous going in, and the Spanish crowds were very rowdy at the Q&A before the film, and I was okay. I didn't understand anything they were saying, but fingers crossed. And so we were sitting through the film. It it seemed like it was good atmosphere, but I didn't really know. And then when they did vote, really good vote for the film, and it won the audience vote there, it was great because, when you make a movie, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of love and a lot of hard work and belief to make something like that happen from an idea that you tell to your mate, wouldn't it be cool to make this thing, to script development, raising finance, and then all these other things. And let's face it, Cockneys was it wasn't an easy movie to make because I made it at a budget where you should be having 3 people locked up in a room with some people banging on the window outside.
That's right, yeah.
And instead I decided to make an action movie with an ensemble cast of 10 people, half of which are over 75 years old.
Yeah, you like a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. So I think it was a really hard, very funny but hard thing to pull off.
Yeah.
And so every award, every recognition, the fact that people still watch the movie now, and sometimes I met an actress the other day who said to me, every Boxing Day my dad gets his whole family together and they watch Cockneys versus Zombies.
Oh wow. What a family. What a family.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing, and it really makes
incredible.
it worth the effort because I think it's sort of it's very hard to make a movie, and it's great when people appreciate it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's got to be worth more than awards, isn't it? Having, like you said, that family sitting around, spending time together and enjoying the movie together. It's got to be better than any award, really. I mean,
exactly.
our group, our podcast and our fans and people who listen to our little podcast here, they tend to be big readers. They read a lot of zombie fiction. We have lots of authors come on and we talk about the writing process of creating zombie fiction. Did you, prior to Cockneys versus Zombies, did you read a lot of zombie fiction? Was there anything that inspired you about horror movies? Did you like horror movies as a kid because of any type of fiction?
Well, yes. I grew up in Berlin, and we had a little video rental store called Videodrome, appropriately, and they so they were stocking all these crazy art house and horror films from around the world, and it was still on VHS, and you had to rent them and sort of make a half-hour journey to the shop and come back. All this sort of really old-fashioned stuff that not many people still remember. But I remember even before that, one of the first VHS tapes that was going around was Peter Jackson's Brain Dead.
Oh yeah,
and,
love it.
Oh yeah.
School, kind of. It was actually outlawed in Berlin. I think it was illegal to own it, and there was a copy going around, and I remember watching it, and I thought, oh my god, this is the most violent, horrific film I've ever seen. Yet it's so funny, and it's so full of heart and charm, and in a way that was a big inspiration for my kind of for doing Cockneys versus Zombies, and also the kind of horror I liked. I was into that, and of course into Evil Dead, the kind of the horror comedies basically. Yeah, because I think for me it's always funny, and zombies are always funny because I always feel sorry for them because they're in so much pain, and they want to eat people because they don't know what else to do with themselves and how to alleviate the pain, and I always feel sorry for them, and I think they're quite cute. Aww. And then I also thought you wouldn't really, if our Cockneys go around and just blast them to pieces, you don't really feel so bad for them. If it wasn't zombies, if it was people, you'd be like, oof, it's a bit violent, isn't it? But with zombies you can have a lot of fun, and it's all quite healthy fun, but sure. in a undead, falling apart, losing limbs, all of that sort of. Yeah, but I feel everyone, exactly, everyone feels like a zombie every now and then, and
I feel like one right now.
Well, exactly.
What's next for Cockneys versus Zombies? I mean, we know that you personally have lots of projects on, but I mean, the actual Cockneys versus Zombies, you were saying earlier that you could potentially develop that into other aspects. Are we going to see Cockneys versus aliens? Are we going to see Scousers versus zombies? Is there more in the pipeline?
Well, I want to say this. So, since the movie was released, I mean, the movie industry is changing very quickly, and the thing that was helping all of us at that time to make films like Cockneys, which was a healthy DVD and Blu-ray industry, that's kind of disappeared now, and sort of new models are coming together. Netflix streaming is sort of helping, but not to the extent yet that enables, some crazy films that we could make to happen. So after the film, I was offered the opportunity to make a second one, but at sort of a lower budget. And I thought, I'm not going to do that, because I didn't want to. I've kind of put a lot of love into the first film, and I didn't want to do a cheap cash in just because I could, and then sort of disappoint everyone because it's not as good as the first one or whatever.
Yeah, sequels very rarely better than the first ones, are they?
Yeah, exactly. Apart from Aliens and Terminator 2 and
Godfather.
and
things. All right.
Exactly.
That's 3 out of all the billions of films.
But
Oh, you there?
was we started talking because both James Moran, the writer, and James Harris, the producer, and me, we still get so many people asking what we could do with the film. We've been sort of throwing around some ideas of maybe doing a TV series of it.
Yeah.
And currently the idea would be I like the idea of maybe broadening the scope of what we're telling here, and maybe setting the TV series after the film, but calling it Cockneys versus Zombies, etc.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to just be zombies; it's going to be our survivors forming a new gang, a new team who drive around in their little car to fight supernatural threats, whether that's ghosts, zombies, aliens, demons, whatever the East End throws at them. So that's kind of what we're thinking about at the moment. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I'll watch it, definitely. You've got at least one subscriber to whatever series you do. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of our interview. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today. It's been our pleasure, obviously, to have one of our heroes, the sort of writer-director of Cockneys versus Zombies on. So thank you very much. But before you go, we have a little contest for you. So we normally... you like this bit, don't you, Bex?
I like the contest.
So normally when we have authors on, we do a thing called King of Zombie Fiction, where we ask zombie-related questions. But we're going to change it this week because we've got a special guest, which is you. And we're going to do a Cockney rhyming slang thing. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You have 60 seconds to name what these Cockney rhyming slang swear words are. Bex, are you going to keep time? Are you okay?
Yes, I can keep time. Hang on. Let me get my egg timer out that I've been using to do nothing with recently.
Tell me when to go.
Go.
Okay. Niagara Falls. Balls, yes, well done. Queen Mum.
Fuck.
No, that was bum. Queen Mum bum. Von Trapp.
Slap.
No, that is crap. Von Trapp crap. What else we got? Forrest Gump. It's the same as Donald Trump, by the way. Forrest Gump and Donald Trump are the same thing.
Cunt.
No, it's not. It's dump. Donald Trump dump. Seems to go. Let me have a look. What have we got? Goose and duck. Easy one.
It's not the F word.
It is. It's the F word.
Yeah, fuck.
What else we got here? Cuddle and kiss.
Piss off. Of course, yes.
Okay, that's it. Stop.
I'm trying to think long, winded, roundabout things. But anyway, off we go. Next one.
All right, well, one more. Last one. Jackson Pollocks.
Bollocks.
Bollocks!
Yes.
Well done.
That's very terrible.
Right, really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Matthias, isn't it? Matthias, let me get it right.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much for the interview. It was very, very kind of you. Thank you.
And thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, and I hope to speak to you another time, and
Let us know how you're getting on in the zombie apocalypse at some point.
Absolutely. I just did another movie, a French-Chinese co-production, Warriors Gate, which is coming out in a couple of months, and it's not zombies, but it's barbarians. And it's about an American boy transported to ancient China, has to fight barbarians. And
I actually looked that up, but it looks really good.
It does. It looks amazing.
Thank you. I got my kung fu bug out of my system. I only got to a yellow belt when I was a kid in ninjutsu, and then in this movie I think I might have earned my green tips halfway to the green belt. But it's very excited about it, and it was a lot of fun. I worked with Luc Besson on it, who's a legend in its own right, and I think onwards from that. Let's see what happens next. You never know what the movie gods bestow upon your head, but there's a few little hooks out in the sea, and I hope the next film, with the TV series Cockneys versus Zombies, etc., or the next movie, all very exciting. But anyway, that's
best of luck with your career. Hope it goes fantastically well.
Exactly.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. I love it up the East End, me. That was another action-packed episode.
Yes, it was, but the action isn't over yet.
Oh, there's more action as well. It's great. I'm really looking forward to this action. Right. Before we sign off for our Christmas break, we have a small matter of deciding who the winner of the hamper competition is. So we had a competition. Don't know if anybody remembers. There was a competition. There was a hamper. There was lots of books.
It was a huge hamper.
Huge hamper full of signed books. Before we give it away, I think we should just say thank you to Luke Duffy, who sent 7 books, all of his zombie books, with each signed by him, and wrote a little message in each one.
He's a dude.
Incredibly generous of Luke Duffy, so thank you. Then he also sent some audiobooks as well. Really, really cool to go in the hamper. And then Ricky Fleet sent all of his Hellspawn books, all of those.
He did. He's a dude too.
He's a dude, so good to him. So,
So I mean, if you were one of the smart people on our page who liked, commented, and shared on the right post, not the group post, the page post, we addressed this last week. Mark's going to use his fancy computer to pick a winner right now.
Yes, we're going to pick a winner. Right, so I put all the names into a name generator. My wife wanted to press the button, so she's going to do it now. So on the count of 3...
Let's do it!
We need drum roll. No, that's crap. That's not drum roll. Right, we shall add a drum roll in post-production. And it should
yes,
really
I think that'd be best.
Or it will sound like a train, because that's all I have. So on the count of 3... Are we doing
3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3?
I don't know. Which way? What?
Okay. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
Right. It is Tara Lane.
Yay! Well done, you've won. So we'll message you on Facebook. We'll get your postal address, and this hamper will be with you before Christmas. That's a nice Christmas present.
It's a fantastic Christmas present. I'm sure because your family also entered this competition, and my family also entered this competition. I'm sure they're pretty pissed right now. But
my mum's going to be really pissed.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So pissed.
His mum. But someone in our group did win it. Tara's a member of our group. She's been there since day one, I believe. She has. One of the original founding members. So that's pretty cool. That's not that's nothing to be sniffed at. So that's cool. So it's pretty. The prize itself. I reckon that's literally priceless. I don't think you could put a cost on it. I think it's too good.
Definitely not.
Right.
So,
okay.
Well, that's us. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Season 1 in the bag.
Yeah. Who would have thought we'd been here.
To be fair, it's just been such an incredible year. We've had a bit of a rocky start, I think, but we're lucky enough to be able to do this for you. We really do enjoy it, and we really enjoy the fact that you guys enjoy it. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah, it's been an emotional year for me personally and for Bex as well. It's been an up and down year, shall we say, a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
The podcast sort of rose like a phoenix, as it were. It sort of it came out of the ashes of the previous one. But it's reached an incredible crescendo in December with some of our biggest guests. We guests that were bigger than we could have even possibly imagined.
Guests.
Yeah, crazy. So like to obviously say thank you to all of the guests and all of the listeners. Thank you to everybody who's been part of the whole show since the beginning and part of the group since the beginning. We really do appreciate it. But special thank you to you, Bex. Obviously you've been there since the start, and I appreciate that. And obviously Joe's the rock of the group.
She is.
Tammy, who's obviously
keeps us all together.
Yeah, Tammy's always there, and Diane, who without doubt is our most dedicated listener,
yes,
and most dedicated contributor to the podcast. Without some of her emails, we would have had an empty podcast or two. Couple of weeks.
Definitely. I mean, I'd also like to thank some of our special guests. We've had David Wellington, Ricky Fleet, Peter McKinnon, Mac Hitman, Stuart Keane, Jamie Johnnesty, Stan Yan, Luke Duffy, Mark Tufo, and then today we've had Matthias Hoene. I mean, everyone that's been on the podcast, they've all taken their time out of their busy schedules. They talk to us, no pay, no real incentive really, because I mean, just look at us. They did it purely to talk to the fans, and I mean that's a remarkably humble thing to do, isn't it? It's it's so heartwarming that they're willing to talk to the fans, and we really thank you for it.
It's been a pretty humbling year, to be honest, isn't it, Bex? I mean,
definitely.
You don't realise how kind other people can be until you do something like this. And these guys who are successful, they have
really
careers,
successful.
Really successful. They're very good at their jobs. Which is very time consuming, which is sitting down and writing for a lot of them. Or in the case of Matthias today, he was actually on a shoot. He had been up all night, hadn't slept. It was 4 a.m. where he was, and he was took the time out of his morning really, having not slept, to do an interview with us, which is an incredibly generous thing to do. So my faith in humanity has been restored over these last few months.
Definitely.
So thank you to everybody.
So that's it then.
That certainly is. Next year we'll be back. Don't worry. After Christmas we'll be working on the new series of GMZ. It's going to be It's going to be crazier. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be badder. It's going to be more hardcore. There's going to be...
Marc won't be doing another Cockney accent.
There'll be no more Cockneys, you muppet. There'll be none of them. No, there will. There might be some. I don't know. There'll be more Rob, guaranteed. There'll be more Scarlet Bush, guaranteed. There'll be
hopefully more Alan.
More Alan, guaranteed. Jamal might be coming back. I've heard a rumour Jamal might have survived, so he might be coming back.
Yeah, apparently he got just sucked into the nether regions, didn't he?
He did. Where apparently he's... I don't know. Anyway.
More on that next season.
Oh yeah, you'll find out next season. Joe will be back. I'm hoping that we can get some of the writers who are guests this time to come back, and some new and exciting writers as well. We're in talks at the moment to talk to some people who are working on movies, who are working on TV, so some of those guys could possibly be along as well. But a bit like this year, it's going to be wing it. We're going to be winging it all the way.
Yeah.
There'll be very little scriptage, mainly just sort of like bullshitting our way through the series. So
as has been the way since the beginning.
As has been the way since the beginning.
Why change it?
So there may be some additional GMC bonuses as we get closer to Christmas, but as far as the podcast is concerned, that's it for this year.
That's it. So we'll see you next year.
See you next year. Take care, everybody.
And you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love it up the East End, mate.